Beautiful soul, if you've ever wondered why your intuition feels inconsistent, this is going to change everything. If you've ever wondered, Julie, how do I really get to know who my angels are? How do I learn exactly how they're working with me? How do I tell the difference between my own thoughts and an angel message? And how do I know exactly who is speaking on the other side? If you've asked those questions, this year's angel membership is your answer. Because in 2026, when you join the annual or VIP membership, you'll earn your Angel Mastery certification. I'm going to guide you through an entire year of working with one new angel and one new intuitive skill each and every week. And here's the best part. It only takes 1 hour a week. If you can give me just 1 hour a week, just one, I will teach you how to confidently hear your angels and trust what you receive. Because here's the truth the angels keep saying. Most people want a deep connection with their intuition, but they never stay consistent. They think they'll make time for their spiritual practice, but without structure, they don't. This membership gives you the consistency, the community, and the accountability because your angels and I are not going to let you hide. We are going to embrace you with warmth and bring you into the fold. Your angels say you need this so that 2026 becomes the year you finally feel guided, supported, and grounded every single day. They want you to have that connection. And if you've been dreaming of doing angel work professionally or building a spiritual business, listen closely. When you sign up for the VIP membership this month, the Angel Reiki School is included, along with a full year of twice monthly coaching with me, where I teach you the exact steps I took to build one of the most successful spiritual businesses in the country. I just updated the website, theangelmedium.com/angel membership with tons of other perks and bonuses. But listen, these bonuses only last until the end of the month. The sooner you join, the more you save and the more you receive. So if your angels are nudging you, if your intuition is whispering, this is your year, then go right now to theangelmedium.com/angel membership or click the link in the show notes. Your angels and I cannot wait to spend this year with you and to help you finally build the connection you've been so longing for. Love you, friends. Now back to the show. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Angels and Awakening podcast. I'm your host and author, Julie Jancius. And friends, if you've listened to the podcast for all 750 episodes, you've probably heard Candice Thomas, the intuitive, on the show earlier in the earlier years. Her and I just have a heart-to-heart connection, and I love her so much. She's back on the show today because every time I talk to her, I feel like Spirit just brings through. Really, Candice, every time I'm on the phone with you, I'm like, can we just record the entire conversation so that everybody can listen to it? Because there's just nuggets of wisdom that pour through the entire thing. Candice, why don't you just introduce yourself first and foremost for those who don't know you, and then we'll jump in.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Candice Thomas, and I'm an intuitive coach. That's just a fancy pants word for I teach people, and I used to work heavily with entrepreneurs, and then it works for everyone. So I open it up to everyone who has this sense of working with spirit anyway, the sense of, and that doesn't mean becoming a professional psychic medium. It can, but I've worked with physicists. I've worked with people who've been on Broadway. I've worked with lots of folks. But the point is to help a person really understand what their intuition is saying and understand how to get the information or guidance to do the next step of what they want to do. But more than that, the most powerful thing I do is when people work with me, they can feel a physical, tangible connection with God, creator, source, whatever the word is. So sometimes people have this feeling that, oh, if I'm just spiritual enough, if I'm just psychic enough, if I'm just intuitive enough, my life will be rainbows and unicorns and sunshine and only good things will happen. I will get exactly what I want. Possibly if you were the only human being in the planet, in the world, but things are going to happen that are going to blow up in your face, even when you're the most dialed in and the most spiritual. But having this sense of God, creator, connected with you, it becomes this, that's really annoying, versus, oh no, I'm a horrible person. Why does my life suck? Why does this keep happening to me? Oh, I can I have this force, this presence that I can tangibly feel. I don't feel like something is missing from my life. It's just, okay, great. Dust off your shoulders. And what do I do next or now? Which is the resilience that comes from the connection with spirit. With Julie, you and your listeners already know they get that. But it's just, here's how we do this in our day-to-day life and move away or bridge the gap between sometimes people feel like, especially who have a connection to angels or creator, here's the spiritual world, but here's the real world. And the work that I do is here's how we connect the two in a practical day-to-day way, where it's not just guidance and insight for people that you work with or people that you know, but guidance and insight for yourself and this greater autonomy and connection to source. So all that wrapped up in intuitive coaching is what I do. So I was taught, and listen, of course, we were all taught differently by different spiritual teachers or different things that we've read. So you don't have to take what doesn't resonate at all. So if I say something and you're like, that sounds like not even true, great, please don't take it. But someone taught me that in the fall to winter, so think of the earth as a living being itself, and it takes a breath. So it breathes in and it breathes out. So like during kind of spring, summer, it's breathing out, and then we receive that energy from the planet. And then fall, winter, it's breathing in. And so what happens? Like you witness the trees shut down, they rest. And in that rest, the energy that we would naturally get from the earth kind of retreats. And so that's why a lot of cultures, and again, this, I don't know the science behind it, I was taught this, but that's why different cultures, there's this in the winter months, let's bring color, let's bring together gatherings, let's come together as community to give that extra energy that might not be available from the earth, if that makes sense. And as Julie, as you were pointing out, that's also a time when we do feel more connections to spirit world greater than physical world. But sometimes what happens is if you I got to look for the next gift or the next present, or if you are not in your body, if you're only focused on all this external stuff, the psychic information or the intuitive information you're picking up on is from other people, not so much straight from, you're getting all of it, but if your focus is on social media, which is designed to be super addictive, but on things that are bad, things that are the like more signs of how everything is messed up and it's never going to change, then that's what your intuition brings you more of. It's, oh, this is where your focus is at. And so this is why the holidays, part of the reason why it can be so hard for folks is they're not getting extra energy from the earth, and they're getting zapped by tuning into each other, all of our struggles, all of the pain, as opposed to truly coming together in communities. So that's part of why the holidays can be a blessing, but also very challenging and bad for folks.
And so this is interesting because you were talking about that honesty piece and empaths, and how empaths really have to be in this time very honest with themselves, because you do pick up on a lot of other people's stuff. And as you were saying this, Spirit was showing me this imagery of empaths really drawing back into themselves in December, from Thanksgiving through the 12th day of Christmas, drawing back into yourself to kind of shed some layers, because over the year we're picking up all of these different things that maybe aren't serving us. And it's a really great opportunity for us to look at, what do I want to carry into the next year? What do I just want to leave behind?
Absolutely. And when I first came out of the crystal closet and realized I was a psychic medium, like what I would hear from people who had been doing like professional, not all of them, but a lot of psychic mediums or a lot of channelers were, we want to be high vibe. You don't want to be low vibe. And there were all these rules, and I tried to follow them. I tried to follow them faithfully from other human beings. This is a high vibe. You want to be high vibe. High vibe is the way to go. And we want to be whole vibe, which is why it doesn't high, low. We want to be whole vibe, because we're not going to lead with the same energy every single day. If you've got real life stuff happening to you that's like in a crisis mode, it's not going to be easy for you to be happy and positive. It might, depending on what kind of support systems you have. I apologize for my cat. He's fine. He just wants attention, I promise. Yeah, like you can hear the like vibrato in his voice and stuff. Yeah. But like there's all this pressure on an empath about what you ought to be, that you miss out on actually who you are, and actually how you specifically connect with the energy and feel the energy and process the energy. And that's why first step is honesty. Honesty literally meaning, how does this feel physically, more so than emotionally? How does this feel in my body right now? And giving yourself the grace, the permission to be like, I don't feel great. I know I should want to do this thing or be nice, but I don't want to. I'm not saying that this is a jerk pass where you can go out and be cruel to people or mean to people, but I think if you are honest, you start noticing really quickly what your boundaries are now. Because your boundaries also shift and change. Like you might have the energy to do a whole load of extra stuff than in the moment because there's so much happening just all over the world, but individually. So honest. And the other thing that's coming to me is being honest doesn't mean that you necessarily have to do anything about it. Like that would be great. But sometimes people are in situations where you can't just quit your job. And this economy, wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice? But there might be things where it's like, but just being honest about this really feels challenging and I don't know what to do. And
Yeah.
staying with, okay, like that will help you connect to spirit and bring the insight and the guidance and the energy to you that you need. And by the
Mhm.
way, sometimes the insight, guidance, and energy is someone recommends to you a really good therapist. Someone recommends to you a really good program, like the Angel program, right? Like
Yeah.
here's how to connect. Sometimes it's not just, I think we have this idea of then the angels materialize in front of you and take your hand and you go on adventures. It can be that, but spirit also presents in very physical and tangible things that will help your human and your spirit. So there's not this pressure of someone who was really sweet and sensitive the other day said, how do people do it? I was feeling really good. I felt really dialed in. I could feel spirit, the angels. And then she was driving in traffic. It all went out the window, right? And she's like, I'm so upset with myself that I just let the ego get the best of me. And I just want to stay in that energy. And I was like, here's the deal. You're not going to stay in that energy because you're alive. I think the only people that can stay in that energy 24/7 are really high. They're like on something.
Well,
So
they're also disconnected from their life. So,
that's
like,
true. Like
there are
total,
people who are vibration holders who really don't want to interact with life
that's
and
how they
kinda
do
work
it.
through. Yes, yes.
There's something that is, they are not doing what you are doing. So I
Yeah.
feel into the holidays, please be kinder to yourself and recognize that you're a whole vibe, not just a high vibe or a low vibe. That's out the window depending on the situation. And of course, we don't want to live miserable and sad all the time. And at the same time, it's the first step is just being honest with where you're at and trusting yourself, which is a whole other animal, but trusting yourself that if it's not something that's in your highest and best, you're going to come out of that. And Julie, to your point earlier, that is the journey. And then I
Mhm.
think people are getting really lost because they are getting what they want and it's still empty. It's not
Mhm.
fulfilling. They did all this sacrificing and put themselves in situations that they didn't really want, but there was this idea of, I'm suffering now, so I get the thing later. And there's truth to that. But if you're genuinely doing something that is out of alignment with you, it's not going to make you happy. Even when you get the big prize at the end, you're going to be left feeling like, why did I do all of this? And I
Mhm.
get the same thing when I was doing mediumship. It was people having, it was more like I thought I had to follow the rules. I thought I had to do this thing versus the thing that actually made my heart sing. And that's the things that they regret. Not that I wish I had made 3 million more dollars, or that's not what they care about. It
Yeah.
literally is, I wish I'd spent more time with my family. I wish I had stopped and smelled the roses. I wish I didn't take myself so seriously, are the things that I get when I do mediumship for folks.
And that's been huge as well. And I'm seeing that with a lot of healers right now in general, and I experienced this myself. And I was grateful that Spirit led me through just sometimes you have to go through the lesson in order to be like, okay, that's it. That's
Right.
my truth. When I first started out on this path and stepped away from my full time job, 2015, right? Like 10 years ago.
Yay!
Crazy.
Congratulations.
Yes. I was like holding fear, but also the power of the angels was just so strong coming in saying, we will show you every step. Like we will show you exactly what to do every step of the way. You
Right.
just had this huge, immense trust. And I would look around at what other people were doing, and Spirit was like, that's not it. That's not it. Just don't even pay attention to what they're doing. Just focus in on what we tell you to do. So then, when everything got to this kind of like peak epitome of success, it's like you're looking at coaches and just other people who Instagram is filled with that, right? You're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. If you just do it this way, you're serving people better. And
Right.
so you're like, oh, out of a place of perfectionism, I want to help as many people as I can. I want to do the best that I can. I want to do right by people. So
Right.
then you start to get into this away from the angel saying, we will
Right.
show you exactly what to do at exactly what time. And you see so many other healers in this space of getting caught up with, I have to do it perfectly. I have to do it by the rules. There is no rule book.
Right.
There
And
is just what spirit is leading you on. And if you're not the pure channel, you're not like with your angels bringing through what they need for your like your community.
it's easy for that to happen. It starts little by little. And this is
Yeah.
when I say, oh, here's the spirit world where I can listen to the angels in the beginning. I had trust, but then here's the real world with the business coach that has all these millions of dollars and all these millions of followers. And oh, that person must know more than spirit. Yeah, spirit, you got me this far. Yeah, yeah, cool, thanks. But this person's actually in the real world, and that's where that disconnect happens. And again, it's just so subtle, like the little things where it's like, oh, I feel like I want to write on this, and then something pops in your head and goes, yeah, but the coach never writes on that. Why would you? You know? Or
Mhm.
you do the thing one time where I feel guided to write this, and you get no views on it, or one view, and it's like your mom or something. You're like, I was wrong. What happened? And then we jump ship. Like, I guess I can't trust. I've been trusting spirit up to now, but now I can't trust, and I got to bail out and do something else. That was getting into business with my ability was, it was so strange because in the beginning, things just worked like butter. Like everything just fell into
Yeah.
place. It was easy. I was the model, like just trust spirit, dive in there and do it. And then here's all your clients and here's all your business. And that happened to me. And then after a couple years, the clients started to fade away. But that's because the people I was attracting weren't my people. They were like the people who were willing to pay. And I could feel a disconnect in the beginning when I was working with them. But it was like, but whatever, it's this must be what it is. And it's so subtle how, oh, this isn't my person, but they're the ones who are showing up. So let me just keep moving down this path, even though there was something in me that was like, this is not centered. It doesn't feel right. And
Yeah.
then the people telling me, if you want to attract people, you have to market like this and you have to say it like this. And that stuff worked, but it was like, I feel really icky. I feel really gross here. It doesn't feel right. Oh, you just got to work on that within yourself. There's something in you that doesn't trust and doesn't believe. And that's where people can get mixed up.
Yeah.
And an example was, I'd had this business coach and she was like, you got to cold call people. So you go to these networking events, you get business cards. The younger people don't even do business cards now, but it was like, and then you cold call them, like you make a warm connection and be like, hey, and I was like, oh, that feels
Yeah.
so wrong. So then we had to do all this work on my confidence, self-worth. And it was like, but it wasn't my confidence. It wasn't self-worth. It was something inherently within me was like, I don't want to work that way. And that's not knocking the process, because there are people who are like, oh my God, I want to pick up the phone and it's more authentic. I want to have this conversation with a stranger I just met. Like I have a very close friend. She's 100% about that. She's not trying to sell something. She really wants to get to know people. So for her, it would have been like gangbusters. Yes, I can do that. So it's no problem. But for me, it's, I can't. My coach got so furious with me because I used my psychic ability to wait until I could feel the person wasn't available. And then I would call. Then I would do the cold call. I had to leave another voicemail. Sorry. I did it. I did what you said, coach. No one picked up. And she was like, nah, you're BSing. And I was like, yeah.
How did you surrender that? How did you move through that? And what did spirit bring?
My business almost failed. It went to, and like people don't really talk about that because we talk about Instagram, all these coaches and look happy and all this money. And when I worked with that coach, she was actually a multi-million-dollar. She was the real deal, that coach. And so through her, I met, and this was no one in the spiritual space. It was like the business owner coaches. And I saw behind the scenes, and I saw this coach is saying they made $3 million, but they spent $4 million on the launch. So technically it's true, but they're not telling you they're in a loss, and they're also scrambling. And they also have some other business coach that they're seeing. No, you just got to hit it hard. It was a very aggressive, almost like, I can't even describe it. It was like unsustainable. And then I was like, I can't do this. Like, I'm not cut out for this. This feels very just fake. And so I backed off. And then that was like almost killed my business. And I hadn't had the clients when I left. I'd had this imaginary bar, and Spirit was like, you're never going to get the clients until you leave. You're never going to be able to make the money until you go, which was true. So the first couple years after I left, I was like, oh my God, God is great. It's working. Thanks, angels. And then it was like, oh, in order to maintain this, I have to keep getting icky. I have to keep giving up a little bit more and a little bit more of what I thought I was, who I thought I was, and how I thought I wanted to do this. And it was like, it works. It works. Like the cutthroat strategies, like it really does work. But it was almost like my energy is not built to grind. I cannot work 24/7, 7 days a week. Like I couldn't do that. So then the way that I handled it, Julie, was not handling it at all. I just watched. I was like, I just stopped. I was like, I can't do this. And then I felt so much, God, what happened? You told me to leave. I can't do it this way. And when things started to fall apart.
Is that when your mom got sick?
No, that was this year. It was like I did a live event in Albuquerque that bombed. Like we had all these people like come in from out of town to present and no audience for them. And so it was a huge public failure and stuff out here. And I just was like, I guess that's the end of me. I got to figure out what I'm going to do. Am I going to go back to accounting? When I had felt so strongly convicted, you couldn't tell me anything. And I was like, I didn't understand what happened. And like, it was really devastating. And then I think and it happened around the holidays, right? And I was just, I don't have anything left. I felt there were all these voices, not the spirit voice, just all these judgments in my head. I should have done it this way. I'm not cut out for this. My coach I dropped my coach, and she straight up told me, if you leave me, you're going to fail because you don't have what it takes. Oh. And she didn't use those exact words, but it was like that. And I apologized to her. That was like, yeah, you're right. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm not cut out for this. And like, that's how twisted I was. And then after a few months, Spirit was like, hey, let's start here. And it was like, it took that long to just clear the grief. And I didn't even realize how far away from myself I had moved because I was so caught up in, this is what you have to do. Yeah. And when I heard Spirit again, it was like, okay, yeah, I'm willing to step my foot out then. And then it started slowly, but it started picking up again. I reconnected with people and I got to do things my way, which I could just have conversations with folks. And if I had a conversation with a person who was a good fit, they could feel me and that was it. I didn't have to do all this other stuff. Yeah. And then that started to go well, but then I started to feel again, this little bit of, and it comes with that external voice that says, you should be doing more. If it comes internal, that's one thing. Like spirits, we do want you to reach out. And so here's the other thing that happened, Julie, is I would get confused. So people who are like, no one can lie to me because I read your energy is BS. If you have a blind spot, you can get lied to all the time and you will believe it because you believe like you won't understand the way that the human kind of mingles everything up. Like you really have to be super present, but you also need other people in your life to help you along. And hey, like am I like tripping right now? Because this is where I usually have a blind spot. My blind spot is still people pleasing from like how I grew up, and I needed to people please to survive. Yeah. And so I had prayed. It was like, Spirit, you gotta send some people here. Like you have to. And then that day when I had the prayer, I don't know if you're familiar with Groupon. It was Groupon or Living Social, and that's where someone pays a really small, low price, and so they pay like $35, and they wanted me to offer $35 and give 3 readings to people because in Albuquerque, I had been a bestseller. I had done it before when I had first started out, and it had taken off like gangbusters. And so I say this prayer like, God, you got to bring me more clients. You got to give me a way to do this. And then here's this Groupon offer. And I tuned in, like just looking at it, I just burst into tears because you're asking me to kind of slave away. But I felt like, who am I? I had this prayer of, you got to bring me clients. And then here's this Groupon opportunity. And I don't want to do it. Everything in my body is no, even though logically it's like my prayer was literally answered. And so then I felt really guilty of, oh, maybe it's not spirit, it's me. I'm the one who's turning away from spirit. I'm not doing what I need to do. If I really cared about serving people, I would do it regardless. But I was still like, I guess I just can't do this. And then after that is when I had my first like coaching client the way that I work now, where the next day, so this was in about like 48 hours, I would say, someone was like, hey, come to this channeling event of one of my mentors was channeling. And it was like, all right, I'll go. And she was like, oh my God, I'm glad you came. I want to introduce you to her. She needs to work with you. And that kind of turned everything around. That changed my life. That was the one person that changed my life. And I would not have gone to that event because it wasn't working like doing readings. It was like, oh, this is a long-term coaching forum. And I was honest. It was like, listen, I'm new to this. Not that I don't know what I'm doing. I have an idea, but you're like my test subject number one. And this is what I want to charge you. And it was thousands of dollars. And she was like, yeah, that sounds actually low, but reasonable. Sure. And I was like, really? And I just mentioned that because this is where I think healers really get tripped up is you put out this prayer and then you get a response, and it's like you still have to use your human discernment. And this is where it's be honest, where it's, oh, that's not for me. Thanks, spirit. Thanks, angels. That's close to what I want, but that's not. You have to keep. I think the answer to finding my way back was, and it was really hard, Julie. It was really hard to ignore the voice of all the people who are genuinely successful and are doing it in a way that will kill me. And this belief of, I literally cannot do that this way. My energy, when I was in grind time, because I did that, when I was in grind time, it was hard for me to stay present when I was trying to be of service, which is the whole point is I want to reach and connect with people, and I'm not reaching and connect with people. So it's not a genuine, real fear. It's just, I'm afraid versus, ooh, this really is out of alignment with me. But over time, I came to, there's a different physical sensation I get in my body when I am afraid and it's going to hurt me versus when I'm afraid and I'm just BSing and I'm like, my human is humaning. And it's, oh, got it. But even then, I phone a friend and, hey, you know me, what's up? What's your hit with this? And they'll tell me straight up if it gets really, I'm not sure. But it's really tuning in with something feels a little off about this and listening to myself and giving myself the grace that goes, you know what? I'm going to trust you. Something feels off. Great. I'm not going to do this thing. And that can be extremely hard when bills might be coming in faster than your revenue, or when it looks like the fear of missing out. And I find this a lot when I get opportunities to tag team with people. And so many people want to tag team with me all the time for stuff. And I have to be very careful about, this person is dynamite, they're amazing, but we're not going to gel together. Like the way that we work, it's going to be an issue. And trusting that of, I could have gone next level if I'd been on this other person's platform or done this thing with them, but there's something about it that feels off. And then sometimes you don't get the validation. Sometimes you do, where I hear horror stories from other people. I'm like, oh, I'm glad I didn't do that thing. But sometimes and it doesn't mean that the other person is bad or that the program is wrong. It's just for whatever reason, now's not the time, or this is not a fit. And another thing with that is if someone starts to pull me it's not out of integrity, like it's bad or wrong, but I know I already did that. I already know that's not the highest and the best for me and the way that I connect people and work. So one time I did something and she was very rigid, and it turned out okay, but I had a disconnect there were 3 of us, and I had a disconnect with one of the people who was a part of the group because they just had a different philosophy. And it was intuition for business leaders. And they wanted to really focus on kind of the business, more so the business side, the intuitive side. And I was like, I feel like it's the opposite. We got to work internal and then to the external. And they were coming up with, they really wanted it more science-backed approaches, which I get that 100% fine. But you also asked a psychic medium to be here, so I'm not quite sure.
I know it's be here. Yes.
And so you want me to go? It's like, I can. I do have, I used to be a good little psychic medium and have my here are all the case studies, or here's all proof or evidence. But people can shoot that down too. No, I don't get into that. That's not the thing I'm most interested in. And so I started to feel again, like you're asking me to be small, like you're asking me to not do what I need to do. And then spirits tap, you should be doing your own thing. That's that sign. I'm like, you're right. Can't hide behind other people. Got to get out in front and do stuff.
100%. So interesting. You brought up so many different thoughts for me. There's some times in my life where life has just gotten so busy and so chaotic that I haven't talked to my mom or my sister in a week, 10 days. 10 days later, people are texting me, is she talking about you? She put up an entire podcast episode about how I was a horrible person because I didn't have her on my show. And I was like, I would have gotten you back on the show. We have 6 months to do this. And so it's just, I've heard Elizabeth Gilbert talk about this a lot too, where We just went and saw Wicked Part 2 last night, and I don't know if this is what they're trying to say, but no good deed goes unpunished. You're trying to do good, you're trying to do good, and then even stuff that you try to put out that's good comes
Right.
back on you sometimes.
Yeah. And again, it's kind of people who are, and that's why when people are like, I'm never fooled because I read your energy, that is no, you're fooled all the time. If you're sensitive, you really do have to stay centered because you are the most gullible if you are super sensitive to
Yeah.
believe, if you believe someone's words over your own heart, over your own, and it's, I like what you said. You can feel it in your body, not like your very first impression, not the second thought that goes, this is like a really sweet lady and she does so much. And yeah, like, why wouldn't I? And it's like, you don't, and that's the hard part. That's the faith of something in you is going, no, never, say no. And then the second voice is going, oh, but she's so sweet or whatever. And just trusting, being willing to trust and being, and that's easy for me to say, but that's because I lived through it. Like that thing that really failed spectacularly live in front of everyone. Spirit had told me straight up at the very beginning, no. I felt no, I heard no, and they talked me into no, but it's so good for the community and this is really good. There's going to be 11 of us. So it's not just going to be you, because my first flash was no, I don't want the responsibility of, and then I'm doing all this as I'm trying to build my own thing. And then what happened? The 11 people vanished and it got down to 3 of us. And it was like, oh, I don't know how to do this part of it. But anyway, that's an aside, but totally. And it doesn't, and remember that when we get the guidance, it doesn't have this strong, powerful, no, that it's just sort of, hey, no.
Yeah.
No, girl, no. And that's it. And so because there's not this strong, deep emotional response, it's like that's when we can go into doubt. I don't know, but they seem nice. Let me. And then we always think we're smarter. If it gets too bad, I'll just drop out. And it's like, no, you're going to get sucked in. You're going to get sucked in. And that's okay too, because like you were saying before, and that's like having more grace. Sometimes you don't know until now. I am more willing to trust because I learned those lessons of, oh, it started to feel a little off. And I just went with it. And now I know, listen, I don't have a good reason for saying no to this, but something isn't resonating with me. And that's fine. And most people are usually cool with that. And it's like, I have the same grace for other people where I might want to do something and they're like, nah, I'm not feeling it. I'm like, all right, that's cool,
For sure.
And I think that's where people get caught up in feeling like I have to do it this way or no one's going to come.
Yeah.
Assuming that they're ethical. There are always unethical people that are out there just to swindle people. But I think good people get caught up in, oh, here's a way to do it. Here's a way to say it. But unfortunately, everyone is starting to learn what ChatGPT looks like. What I say is if you ever see a program and you really feel like, because all the language is amazing, a question to ask is, because sometimes people really are on the fence where it's like, I'm not sure. And people, it's like, there's so much happening. It's like, you need to rest. If we were to work together, it would be overwhelming. You don't need one more thing. It's like, you just need to chill out, talk to me in 3 months again, and we'll see where you're at. But the question I'd say is, if you are thinking about a program or working with a coach of any kind, if you can ask the question, hey, what are examples of people who didn't make it through your program, who didn't get the results? What was the reason why? And if you have a person that's everybody makes it through, they're a scam. That's a straight up 100% scam. If they are legit and they'll tell you, oh, because they weren't dedicated enough, or that's probably a program where they're expecting you to grind time 24/7. And the last coaching program I did, the reason that the person told me was they hide, they don't participate. If you're struggling, talk to us. We're there for you. That's why we have all these things built in.
Yeah.
And I felt really safe. It was like, yeah, okay, great. And I know if I want to succeed, I can't hide. And it was like, tell me more about that. What are the ways to connect with you? Is it I can only email you? Is someone going to talk to me? What's the ratio? Is it like one person and there's 100 of us? And this person had really built out their coaching program where there were like a lot of people. So it was more like 10 people to 10 coaching clients to a coach. And I was like, oh yeah, that is reasonable to me. That means that I'll be responded to, versus a fly by night that is you pay $10,000 for your half-hour phone call in a group and and no one's reviewing your work or what you've done.
Yeah.
And the price point, I don't care about price. I don't think that most programs are too expensive. It doesn't matter if you get what you say you're going to get out of a program, then, it's not about that. But it is about a lot of people when I was coming up in the coaching world, a lot of people were being told, like, here's how you charge more and do less. That was the vibe. And it was like, and that's one of the things I didn't resonate with. And not that you have to give it all away. I understand the boundaries of it, but it's also like, I don't want someone to walk away feeling like they didn't get enough. And I have no control over what a person thinks, but For me, I want to know that, what I say you're going to get. And a little bit more probably if you work with me. Like I want to exceed your expectations, not
It's a billion percent. That's how I feel all the time. And you can't hide. And it's
right.
all you have to do is reach out. Let's work through it. Let's find a way to bring you back.
And it's so interesting that people, sadly, it seems like sometimes healers, psychics, intuitives, mediums, we get into this work, and a lot of us have had some pretty challenging childhoods.
Yeah.
I feel like there's this kind of like we're used to holding the space for other people and not for ourselves. We're used to being the rock for everyone else. But the problem is the rock then becomes the thing you hide behind to not deal
Yeah.
with your stuff, to not deal with your own pain. Is you got to go help everyone else. And then it's, oh, I can't really change. It's almost like energetically crucifying yourself. It's like, this is the way. And it doesn't have to be the way. You're not supposed to be suffering to do the things that you love. And you're not supposed to be suffering to do the work. And that's a really good point is I've had clients where I was really going through it for 3 days, but I didn't want to call you because I have a call me policy too. And I'm like, why didn't you
Yeah.
call? I don't want to be negative. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I don't
Like,
want to bother you.
I don't want to,
It's not a
yeah.
bother.
And I
It's
was
not
like,
a bother.
and you have to retrain people because they've probably been around folks that if you expressed your needs, you were getting whacked. You were getting put
Mm.
down verbally or physically. And so you have to retrain them and go, hey, so I want you to trust me that if I can't handle it, I'm not going to answer the phone at that time. I'll get back to you, but I want you to trust me that what I say and building that level of, and so that's again, that's okay. And it's like, and then it's no one ever abuses that. No one ever abuses, I'm going to call you 24/7 because it's,
No.
oh, everyone is almost, again, too, I don't want to say too self-sufficient, but it becomes this like armor where if your human is refusing like physical help from another human, what are you blocking from spirit? What are you also not allowing from the angels to reach you because you feel like it's not serious enough? My pain
Yeah.
isn't serious enough yet.
We've both been through the lesson, which often stirs in a lot of people in December of I really wanted my mom to be this way, or I really
Right.
wanted my dad to be this way. I didn't get what I needed from my dad. And when that person is on the other side, there's a second sentence that's added into that. I haven't ever gotten what I needed from them, and I never will. And that isn't the truth because we both know what it's like to have somebody on the other side and you have a better relationship with them now and you're
Yes.
in daily communication with them and it's great now, wasn't back then. For those who are struggling with that in December now, missing loved ones, wishing the relationship was different, what information does Spirit want you to bring through to them?
I feel like first and foremost, theme of the day, trust yourself and be honest. My dad was extremely verbally and emotionally abusive. He was an exploder. So he would stand me up and then scream at me. And like when my parents got divorced, I just lived with him. And he would tell me every day I was stupid, I was ungrateful, I was going to get pregnant, and he would have to rate it. Mind you, I had almost a 4.0 GPA at the time. I was on the honor roll society. And so there came a point when I was younger where I had this belief of he just doesn't understand. If I just prove to him no, because his big thing was I do all this stuff for you and you don't do anything for me. Mind you, I'm a child. Oh, sir, you're legally obligated. I can't return. I can't, if you buy me something, school supplies, like I legally can't work to give you back the supplies. But I was older than that. I was a teenager, but still he wouldn't allow me to work. I had to take care of the household after my parents got divorced and we lived with him, which is a whole other thing. He convinced my mom and us as kids that he was the better parent, and her self-esteem was so destroyed that she was like, sure, and just, which
Wow.
that was like the rage I felt when I realized what happened many years later. And there was this, like, my dad never changed. There was never an understanding. He never understood. Everything I tried to do to prove that I loved him, it would get twisted. And I broke off contact. We went no contact for probably 10 years. And then I went to limited contact. And so what I would say is two things you hear all the time when I was back. Remember, little baby psychic medium. I wasn't a baby. I was like 29, but into the spiritual spaces. And, oh, you got to forgive your dad. 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 And I'm like, I can't forgive. What do you mean? All I had was rage. And I could say the words, but it wouldn't go anywhere. And at times it would feel like someone is saying, to a depressed person, have you tried being happy? What do you mean forgiveness when there were so many things that went unacknowledged? There were so many secrets that I kept for my family to not ever talk bad about my dad in public. And he stayed mean until the end and he died unexpectedly. And after he passed, and I didn't know that it was at the time, but I'd gotten, he must be contacting me because my voice is going, spirit stuff. When he was alive, I thought I had dealt with the fact that I wasn't going to get the dad that I wanted. But when he died, the finality of what you just said is, oh, I'm never going to have the dad that I wanted. And the grief that came with that really shook me and leveled me. That leveled me for 6 months. And I had to stop everything because it was like, and I was really surprised because I was like, I didn't even think I liked my dad that much. But that's just the power that a parent can have on us and all this stuff moving underneath the scenes, behind the scenes and stuff. And when my dad came to me, he asked permission first off, which he never would have done when he was alive. He was like, hey, is it a kind of, I could feel him hovering. Is this all right? Because you get to say, yeah, I can come, or no, I can't come near you. And it was like, yeah, sure. And he showed me definitively, he was like, listen, there's nothing you could have done. There's nothing you could have said. It was like there was something wrong with his brain, like the way that he saw the world and processed information. He showed it to me. And that was the first time after he was on the other side that I even realized he loved me. I legit thought he didn't like me. That there was fake dad and real dad, fake dad in public, and then real dad who would scream and say all these things. Like, how could you love me if you're so cruel? And then it was like, oh, he did love me. And at the same time, he genuinely believed no one in the world loved him. And that's just my dad. That's not what happens with everyone. And just know that there's nothing that you could have done, nothing you could have said, because this is how I was. And that was like, oh, okay. And he helps me out now with, I've been dabbling as a hobby of getting into filmmaking. And
How
he was
so? Tell me more about this.
Julie, this is one of the psychic things where I literally woke up and was like, I need to make a movie. Like nowhere. Like I've liked writing my whole entire life. I've taken screenwriting classes my whole entire life. I always thought I'm going to try to like write a script, and then nowhere. And I was 100% my dad being like, and my dad, when he was alive, when I had opened up communication for limited contact, he would make independent movies for the church, for Christian churches and stuff. And so they weren't great, but also I was really proud. I was really proud of him for doing that because that's so hard. It's so cool.
Yeah.
And so my dad would tell me before he passed, you don't need to just write the thing. You're smart enough. Why don't you just make the movie? And it was like, I'm not smart enough. You don't know what you're talking about. So I would write a script in the month, and then I would film it using my iPhone. And like the first one I cheated, and it was more voiceover work. So I acted in it and I did like the voices in it. And the scripts are like, the first one's long. It's like 10 minutes, but the other two are about like 5 minutes and just different things. And it was really cool and really fun to do. And so now I've got my notice. Spirit wants me to make a longer feature film. That's what I'll be doing next.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it's silly. It's not tied to anything but the expression of making art and creativity. Everyone's, oh, how is that tied to your business? Are you trying? I'm like, it doesn't. I just want to.
Yes.
It's like I don't have this deep, and now I'm going to move to Hollywood and do the thing like I did when I was younger. But then I was like, I work with people who are in Hollywood, and it's like we were talking earlier where the people who are in it and stay, they really love their craft. You have to, because it's so hard. Forget all the personalities and stuff. It's just so hard to get anything you want made if you're relying on other people to make it. It's still hard if you do it yourself, but it will get done if you're invested in doing it, because people are all trying to make their own dreams happen. So anyway, so that's how I can feel my dad helping out with stuff. And then him and my grandma, who's been on the other side for a while, they bring me clients too. And I can always tell because people who come to me have usually just lost someone. And they're like, I don't even know why I feel like reaching out. So I know why. My people are on the other side working with your people. And they know that it's like the whole deal of when
you can see it. You can see when like your people are standing next to their people.
Yeah. And they're like, hey, and that's a part of helping a person understand and like to bring it back to the holidays. And so I said all that to say, if you had someone that was abusive to you, even if you don't want to use the word abusive, but they were really controlling and uncomfortable, if you don't want to connect with them, you don't have to, and you don't have to feel bad about that. And I personally don't believe that you have to forgive if you're not ready to forgive. You have to, whatever you have to work through it. I don't believe that it holds you back by not forgiving, because even if you forgive someone, you've still got to do the other work. You've still got to rebuild your self confidence and self worth and self esteem. Like those are two different animals. And do what you feel called to do and give yourself really grace and permission around that, is how I feel. If you do want to connect with someone, just be open to it. A lot of times, I believe everyone is a psychic medium for your own people, 100%.
Yep.
They do come around, but then you talk to someone and they go, oh, that's just a coincidence. Like they just dismiss it. And you go, oh, I guess it was just a coincidence. So I would say that's where trusting yourself and trusting your experience and being willing to be vulnerable and believe it, and understanding that it's okay if it doesn't feel good during the holidays. Like being honest about, man, I really do wish I had a mom that was still here, or mom who loved me, or dad who loved me, or dad who would act like a dad. Like just understanding that about yourself and giving yourself grace. Because again, depending on because of the experience with my dad, I'm person number one where it's, oh, if I'm not welcome, I'm not coming. I don't play the game of here's the family dynamic. But other people, they feel obligated to do that. And that's okay. There is not a wrong, like Julie, you were saying with business, everyone has all these rules for how you should act. And there are some people who feel like if this person is family, you show up regardless because they're family. And there's other people that's like you cut everybody out of your life instantaneously. And there's a whole range of things in between. And so it really falls on what feels right and good for you in the moment, and trusting yourself, even though trusting that initial first voice, not the second, which will be so different, and love all over yourself. Spirit's impressing upon me, be sweeter. And sweetness is the word. So sweet that you get cavity sweet with yourself. Oh my God, I'm so proud of that thing I did. Like the way that we talk to puppies and babies or kittens,
Oh,
that
I
kind of
love that.
energy is what we need right
Yes.
now. It's like, I'm so proud. Oh, even if you do things that you're not proud of, ooh, I really showed my ass there, is what I'll sometimes say. Girl, you really showed up. That was not the best. And then it's like laughing about it. Like, yeah, we're going to have to do better next time. That was wild. Of some acknowledgement. So this isn't like permission to be a jerk, but definitely permission to forgive yourself, permission to understand why you're reacting that way, to come at yourself with a curiosity versus a judgment. Like, why am I tripping? Oh, this is the first, or this will be the second Christmas without my dad. And like the first Christmas, I think I was just like a little bit shell shocked. And this Christmas, it's, oh, okay. But I can experience my dad in a different way now, where there's not all this heaviness around it. There's not all this, I got to walk on eggshells and he's going to say this and I'm going to say that, or I got to avoid him 100%. It's, oh, we can have this different experience where we can just love each other. And there's not all this performance or wondering. It's, oh, okay. I did have a dad. I never knew that when he was alive, but I still have a dad now. It's just in a different way. And he helps me. And this is, I'm not, I don't feel like I'm explaining it enough, but like they can do more on the other side sometimes than they could do here. Imagine that because of the relationship I had with my dad, if he tried to give me any advice, even if it was in my highest healing and best, I'd be like, nah, who are you? You can't tell me anything. Don't tell me shit after what our relationship was like. Whereas now it's, oh yeah, okay, that's fine. And also they really can move things. They move people, sometimes like literally, but they can put people, even including you or other folks on your path, where it's like, oh, here's this thing I wanted. Here's the way to get there. And there's not this mess of, when my dad was alive, if he did anything for me, it was a tit for tat. I would owe him. And now it's just because he wants to. And it's just love there. There's not all this pressure.
I want everybody, though, to know what website to go to, what Instagram handle to go to, because I know so many people are going to want to work with you, Candice.
Yeah, CandiceThomasintuitive.com. You can also find me on Instagram, Candice Intuitive, CandiceIntuitive. I'd love to, if you feel connected to this, hop onto my newsletter. I send out information about upcoming classes and workshops. Also, for this month, I got a downloaded, here's a channeled blessing. I do healing circles last Sunday of every month. If you want to hop into those that are really tailored to whatever your spirit is saying that you need.
Thank you so much for being here and also for the healing that you did. It was beautiful.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you again for having me. This is a joy.
Friends, I need your help reaching as many people as possible. If you'd like to support this podcast and help us spread more hope to the world, please book a session with me, join my angel membership, or take my Angel Reiki School. What's the difference? If you'd like to know what messages your angels and loved ones have for you, you'll want to book a session with me. The angel membership is all about your own personal spiritual healing. The membership takes you on a spiritual journey that teaches you how to create your own heaven on earth. And the Angel Reiki School is for those who want to get certified in mediumship, angel messages, and energy healing all at once. These are 3 ways you can help us share a message of hope and love with more people than ever before. Register for one or all 3 at theangelmedium.com. That's theangelmedium.com. Now, let's pray together. As we do, I want you to pray in a way where you feel as though everything you want for yourself and the world has already come true, and you're giving thanks. Why? Because this is the best way to manifest. So let's begin. God, universe, source, thank you. We're so grateful that you've blessed this world with calm and peace for all. This calm and peace has spread like ripples, soothing the hearts of every soul. Thank you for opening our hearts to abundance, allowing each of us to live our most authentic life, and helping us to create our own heaven on earth. We thank you for the love and deep heart-to-heart connection that surrounds us every day in our relationships. We thank you for the abundance of health and aliveness we feel radiating from every cell in our and our families' bodies. Thank you for the gift of walking this life with us and guiding us every step of the way through your messages. We hear you through our own intuition, and we feel you walking right by our sides, and we overflow with gratitude. Thank you for financial abundance, an abundance of opportunities, miracles, blessings, and prosperity in every way. We know that you want us to succeed so that we can show others how you want them to succeed too. Thank you for the boundless love, kindness, empathy, and compassion that binds us all together. Thank you for the laughter, fun, moments of pure delight that fill us every day, especially today. God, universe, source, thank you for blessing us beyond measure and allowing us to use our souls, gifts, talents, skills, and abilities to serve the world. We love you. I love you. And in this we pray. Amen. Friends, we're working on some pretty major things over here. And if you wouldn't mind saying a little prayer that these things come to fruition if they're God's will, we'd so appreciate it. And please add a little prayer in for any specific thing you need right now, too. Have a beautiful, blessed day.